What's the story, people? How you getting on? Hope you're having a lovely day. Today we're checking out something. It might be a little bit scary, but this is why the Appalachian Mountains are deceptively dangerous. The only time I hear Appalachian is when I'm watching my true crime. I love true crime. I don't know why, but I'm the kind of guy that I can fall asleep getting about people. Or I cannot serial kill. I don't know why. I find it so interesting that people can do that. But yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Let's go.
So I live in the Appalachian Mountains, and if you've heard anything about them, it's probably this.
Search area has expanded as the days stretch into a full week since the youngster was reported missing.
If you hear something in the woods, no you didn't.
No, you didn't. Keep walking. You do not want to be outside when the sun goes down.
Something very...
What? Is it that bad? Yeah, what do you mean I didn't? But I did. If I hear something, I did. I'm legging it. I am legging it. Actually, only if it's a... Actually, someone commented saying a woman died in... Was it Washington? And was killed by a mountain lion. See, I know I'm always talking about these mountain lions. You guys don't take me serious. These mountain lions, they're scary. I could be wrong, but I'm sure someone left a comment a day or a few hours ago saying, hey, did you hear about the woman that got killed by a mountain lion? I want to say Washington. I could be wrong again. But yeah, them mountain lions. Whew.
Didn't.
No, you didn't. Keep walking. You do not want to be outside when the sun goes down.
Something very strange seems to be going on inside of national parks.
Lately, I've seen these videos all over social media talking about the long history of people vanishing on the Appalachian Trail and in the mountain range that it's named after, and what might be causing those disappearances. Secret National Park Service projects, feral cannibal people, Bigfoot, skinwalkers.
You're usually hunted for a long time by these creatures.
They're called devil monkeys.
Bigfoot is from the Pacific Northwest, and skinwalkers are from the Southwest, but that's beside the point. These mountains have a rich history of folklore, and it can be really interesting to get into that, but these videos can often disrespect the people who have gone missing in these mountains and the people who live in them.
Details their experience with the mountain people.
Feral, rumored to be cannibalistic men that lived in East Tennessee in the woods.
Generations of people who have grown up living in these caves of national parks.
So naturally, I started reading, trying to figure out why people go missing in my backyard and what makes these mountains feel so strange and eerie. The science and history that I found along the way is frankly more interesting than any conspiracy theory, but it also completely changed the way that I see these mountains.
See, I love mountains. This is the kind of stuff that I do most weeks when I'm exploring Scotland. But the only reason that I've got confidence to do it, because the only time you hear about, I think there's a guy that's gone missing actually in Scotland, in the Scottish Islands, 5 years ago. He's gone missing. But apart from that, you don't really hear about things happening in the Scottish Islands. The only crazy thing that might be happening is they might be introducing lynx, the cats, the wild cats, they're like a mini tiny version of mountain lions. They're not mountain lions. But yeah, I love doing stuff like this. But when I hear stuff about the Appalachian Trail, I'm like, oh my God, I really want to do the Appalachian. I would love to do it. I love hiking so much. On New Year's Day, what did I do? I hiked. You guys saw the pictures, the most beautiful pictures, and it's been snowing. When I got to the top, oh, so beautiful. But is the Appalachian, is it that dangerous? Also, what part is the Appalachian? I'm guessing they're going to say anyway, but yeah, let me know down below.
I was left more aware of the dangers lurking in them, but also of their beauty and what sets them apart from any other mountain range on Earth. Most people think of the Appalachians as this area in the south, but they actually extend all the way up to this tiny island off the coast of Newfoundland called Belle Isle. You've probably heard that these mountains are some of the oldest on Earth. They started forming about 500 million with a B years ago. That's pre-Pangea, pre-dinosaur. Fish had just appeared. It started out with one tectonic plate sliding under another, forming massive stratovolcanoes, but those mountains were eventually eroded down into basically just gravel. Then 400 million years ago, those same two plates slammed back into each other, this time forming huge, jagged peaks. And then about 290 million years ago, Africa slammed into North America, shoving these mountains inland, rolling and folding them over each other, exposing rock hundreds of millions of years old to form one of the most geologically complex mountain ranges on Earth. Since then, wind, water, and ice have carved these mountains into what they are today, and they continue to do so. Like, let's start with wind. Just look at Mount Washington in New Hampshire, one of the coldest and windiest places on Earth. The weather station at the top has recorded a 28-foot snowpack, negative 47 degree Fahrenheit temperatures, and a negative 108 degree Fahrenheit wind chill just a few months ago. At least 130 people have died on this mountain, and it's such a tough climb that it's used to train for Denali and even Everest. Needless to say, I think the weather out here gets a bit more intense than people give it credit for. Next, water. The southern Appalachian Mountains contain the rainiest places in the US outside of the Pacific Northwest, as much as like 230 centimeters in some areas. Heavy rains have caused massive floods that cascaded through the mountains, carving deep gorges, and also allowed for the growth of a lush temperate rainforest containing thousands of species, many of them found nowhere else on Earth. And finally, ice. About 10,000 years ago, the northern Appalachians were buried under massive glaciers. As the glaciers advanced, plants and animals native to the north migrated south to escape extinction. When the glaciers retreated and the climate warmed, those species moved to higher elevations, looking for the colder conditions they were used to. A lot of species ended up stuck on mountaintops with no way of migrating elsewhere, evolving into a web of species found only here and some only on individual summits. Now you go up to the mountaintops here in the south and you'll find a landscape that feels a lot more like Canada. These are often described as biological islands, time capsules of a landscape that was widespread during the Ice Age. These mountains provided a habitat for huge groups of bison and elk, packs of wolves, mountain lions, and lynx, and flocks of birds like passenger pigeons, which were likely the most numerous bird on Earth, traveling in flocks numbering in the billions. And what's cool is that the ecology is wildly inconsistent. At the far north, you would find an Arctic tundra complete with caribou, Arctic foxes, polar bears, and this guy, the great auk. Basically a penguin. These mountains were also home to people, a diverse quilt of hundreds of indigenous cultures living in the valleys for thousands of years. The landscapes of the Appalachians are some of the most complex and biodiverse on Earth. And with that complexity comes interdependence. Upset the balance just a bit and things fall apart.
I think there are definitely people just living there permanently that we don't know about. There are people that have gone missing, where they choose to go missing, and they're just living there. Some people just love to be alone. So I'm guessing them kind of people are the kind of people I don't want to run into. So just imagine you've been cut out of civilization for the last 25, 30 years, and you see a random guy coming in, going for you're like, oh, you might be a bit stout. Sometimes they might just attack because they don't want. They were scared. They didn't know what the other person was gonna do. Things like that. I don't think it's all Bigfoot. I know that. I don't think it's that. But that trail is so long. I think it's right here. I think it's like this. Passing Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, up here. I think so. I could be wrong now, but that's what I'm guessing. It's just so big. It's such a long trail. Do people actually do the whole trail? Because that is crazy. We've got a few trails in Scotland. We've got the West Island Way, which is long. It takes like average of like 5 to 10 days to complete. But I'm guessing the Appalachian Trail probably months if you're lucky. That is crazy. I would love to do it though. I would love to do it. But I feel like if I'm doing it, I would love to do it with a group of people that know what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not used to that kind of terrain. I'm used to the Scottish terrain. It's not about the cold. I don't mind the cold. It's about the animals, about what to do. This is different plants. Like, if you mistakenly touch this plant, how does it affect your skin? Little things that we don't think of that could have massive, massive repercussions. That's what I'm scared of. Yeah.
Quickly. European settlers first arrived here in the late 1400s, but these mountains provided a huge barrier to expansion, and for the first couple centuries, they didn't even try crossing over them. The first people to inhabit the higher elevations were actually indigenous groups, pushed out of the valleys by settlers and the diseases they brought, and forced to take refuge in the mountains. But in the 1700s, the East Coast started getting crowded, and settlers started to move inland, once again pushing indigenous groups out and into the plains to the west. The first explorers to cross the mountains describe an infinitely complex landscape of steep slopes choked with dense vegetation, and days of darkness under the canopy above. Even Daniel Boone, who's like the Appalachian explorer guy, described the slopes as, quote, so wild and horrid that it is impossible to behold them without terror. When these settlers first arrived, the mountains were almost entirely covered by old-growth forest, containing trees over 8 feet wide and 260 feet tall. But in the 1800s, a timber industry exploded in the Appalachians, harvesting just about all of these forests. Logging companies scooped up huge amounts of land, getting absolutely loaded while paying people next to nothing to move into the mountains and clear that land. These loggers worked long hours exposed to the elements, surviving on rations and packed in large groups into temporary shelters. And as the industry grew, railroads and burns to clear the land caused wildfires that engulfed thousands of square miles of forest.
This forest around me is one of the only old-growth forests left in the entire Appalachian mountain range, and one of the only places on this side of the country where you can come and find just like a really big old tree like this guy. Pretty much all of the area surrounding this forest was clear-cut, but the logging companies cutting it down went bankrupt before they could get to this spot at the bottom.
I'm a little geek when it comes to things like this, because I've seen the highest tree. Well, I think it used to be the highest tree. I think it's gone down now. It's called it's in a place called Perthshire in Scotland, and it's called the Hermitage. And you have these beautiful trees. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, when you're standing, just the way they're designed, it's so smooth. You look up and it's just this long, so beautiful. When you go to Scotland, make sure you go to Perthshire and go to the Hermitage. You go to the wharf. Oh my god! I'll try my best to find a video and attach the video onto this video. But the waterfall, oh my god. Oh, that was my reaction. If you follow me on Instagram, whenever I'm going hiking or I find a wharf, I'm like, oh, Scotland is just amazing. It's not a real place. Scotland is not real. Scotland and Ireland. Oh, even though I grew up in Ireland, I spent more than 15 years in Ireland. I never really explored Ireland. I took it for granted because I grew up there, so it was normal to me. But now that I explore Scotland, oh, jeez. Wow.
Of the valley. And then a few years later, a wildfire blew through and knocked out a bunch of land, but also missed this spot. So out of pretty much sheer luck, we have this really cool little area where you can come and get kind of a glimpse into what most of this forest would have looked like a couple hundred years ago.
Logging, mining, and damming in the mountains drove many species to extinction, including the passenger pigeon and the great auk, and drove many others out of the region. Bison, salmon, elk, caribou, and polar bears, just to name a few. Big predators like bears and lynx had it particularly bad because people kind of just didn't like them and hunted them down for the hell of it. Industry, of course, came with pollution, which contaminated the waterways and even the air. At higher elevation, there's often this beautiful fog, but it's wildly acidic from sulfur and nitrogen emissions. Acid rain, fog, and snow have been a huge problem here, weakening the higher elevation ecosystems and cutting plant growth in half in some areas. European settlement also brought invasive parasites. All over the Appalachians, you'll see these ghost forests, skeletons of entire tree species wiped out by parasites. Just decades after they got huge, the logging and mining industries collapsed, leaving behind a ruined landscape and a population without work, forced to survive off of this steep, rocky terrain that wasn't really any good for farming. With no money and no good roads, these communities were pretty much trapped in the mountains. That isolation led to the development of a unique culture and folklore unlike anything else in the country. Combine that with the way that these mountains and their inhabitants have often been portrayed in movies, TV, and other media, and the cultural image of the Appalachians kind of starts to take shape. There's also just a spooky vibe here. Like, we know that the mountains are old, but you can also just feel it. The boulders, the twisted trees, the fog, it can be a bit eerie. It's honestly not that surprising that people think this is a creepy place where weird stuff just happens all the time. But it isn't. It's a place with a unique, and I'll be the first to admit.
Yeah, I definitely agree when it comes to that. I feel like it's about the way you see things. Like, I'm the kind of person that I'm very optimistic, you know, and I'm also very realistic. So I'm the same person that I went to a cursed grave, like the most cursed grave in the UK. It's in Scotland. It's called Seatmore. It was this old warrior. It's in a place called the Cairngorms National Park. It's the Cairngorms. Oh God. Don't get me started about the Cairngorms. So beautiful. But yeah, I'm the kind of person that early in the morning I hiked up to this place where the cursed grave is, and it's, let me tell you how cursed it is. There's a barrier around the grave. There's barrier around the grave. But then when I went there, I had a good heart. It was just like a learning experience, because I've read so much about it. I've watched videos about it that I couldn't wait to see. So I wasn't scared. So I feel like it's about your intentions. You know what I mean? So when I see people say, oh, this place is haunted, sometimes if you go to a place thinking it's haunted, any little thing, you're going to be spooked. Like, I've been inside caves that I'm bending like this, and I'm just exploring. I've got my flashlight, and if I hear something, I tell myself, it's not haunted. It could be just a little water dropping somewhere. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. Don't get me wrong, I'm always open. You never know what you're going to see. But I feel like if I don't see something that is clear that it's haunted, I'm not going to say, yeah, it's haunted. Because rumors spread like wildfire. Just people start spreading, and that's it.
Sometimes quite off-putting culture and centuries of folklore. But that doesn't mean there are cannibals or skinwalkers hiding in the caves, kidnapping unsuspecting hikers. The Appalachians have this reputation as spooky and haunted, but they also have a reputation as kind of the wimpy mountains on the other side of the country. But honestly, my biggest takeaway from making this video has been that these mountains are a lot more intense than people give them credit for. Sure, they're not as big as the Rockies or the Cascades, but this terrain is steep and overgrown, difficult to navigate, with weather that can go south really fast. You're probably familiar with the Appalachian Trail, which runs through a big stretch of these mountains. The AT is about 450 miles shorter than the Pacific Crest Trail out west, but it typically takes people a few weeks longer to complete. This terrain is just deceptively challenging to navigate. It was 400 years ago, and it still is today. It's easy to get lost or injured, and hard to get found. The dense forest and steep terrain make it difficult for search parties to cover ground, and nearly impossible for planes or helicopters to spot someone beneath the canopy below. Sure, these mountains aren't as large as others, but that doesn't mean they aren't just as dangerous. Just as this landscape continues to present plenty of threats and hazards today, it continues to face plenty of threats and hazards of its own. Mountaintop removal for mining has literally blown thousands of square miles of mountains to pieces. Fracking for natural gas here contaminates groundwater and rivers, and climate change is causing ecosystems to migrate to higher elevations, which isn't great for the ones that are already stuck on the tops of mountains, like the biological islands we talked about earlier. But a lot of things have actually been improving. As the forest that was cut down 200 years ago has grown back and been more carefully regulated, many of the species that went with it have been returning too. Moose, bald eagles, bears, hell yeah, who doesn't like bears? And other species have been deliberately reintroduced, like elk, many of which were imported from Wyoming. Honestly, the more I learn about these mountains, the more I appreciate them. As the home to some of the rarest and most biodiverse ecosystems on Earth, as one of the planet's longest running projects, and as just a really beautiful place.
That was amazing. That channel, I'm going to leave the link down below. He's so right. I feel like sometimes we keep forgetting we're going into their world. All these animals, they're living there. They're not disturbing us. We're going there. I know I talk about mountain lions a lot, but at the end of the day, I'm going there to see them. So when I see people complaining, I'm like, they're there. They're just living like we are. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. That was really amazing. It looks like there could be an Appalachian Trail video in the future. I would love to do that with my kids, man. Imagine I can Got the back. Oh, I've got so much I can get. It's actually ridiculous. Like, even though I've never done like a mad crazy snow. Have I done crazy snow hike? I have, but not as crazy as, minus 47 degrees. I've got all the gear, the glasses, the craziest gloves, my small portable cooker, the little gas. Like, it's all, but you think I'm joking? Let me show you. 1 second. Look at this. I got my gas thing here. 1 second. This is kind of stuff I love. You guys think I'm joking? Look. You got a little pot here. You're portable for camping. Let me show you guys. Oh. Look at this. Everything is in here. You got the wee gas right here. Everything sorted. Look. My little spoon for camping. These are the kind of things I love to do. Because, I always say to people, life is so short. We're not here forever. Look, life is so short. You're not here forever. And we got this beautiful land that we can all explore. Why we like, when I see people just, obviously, if you got mobility issues and you can't go out, fair enough. But if you got your strength and you go, no matter how old you are, get out there. It could be just you exploring your state. And you guys have the most amazing, you can go from downtown to like the mountain in like probably hour or two. But most people just, they stick to what they know, because I don't want to use the word scared because everyone is different. But yeah, just get out there, man. It's so good for your mental. Whenever I'm out there exploring, I'm so happy, man. It's so beautiful. But yeah, sorry about all this extra stuff. If you guys want to see more stuff like this, please let me know. I want to learn about more stuff like this, because I feel like the reason why I'm coming to America tomorrow, not tomorrow, you guys should be seeing this video a day or two before I go to America. Yeah, the reason I'm coming is because I've been watching videos and I've been like, even though people tell me, Eddie, don't go to America, America is dangerous, let me go find out myself. I don't think it's dangerous. I feel like we just get the news of the bad things that's happening. There's good things. There's lovely people that lives there. There are amazing comments I get. So that tells me there are amazing people that lives there. Yeah, you guys want to see more? Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye bye.